Hey YouTube, Simon here once again for the incredible fundamental changes. Today we're going to look at part 2 of my creating your own personal warm-up regime, and we're focusing on melodic sequences and patterns. Let's go and have a look at a few examples just after this. Okay, so in the previous lesson, or part 1 of creating the perfect warm-up, I talked in depth about dexterity exercises, and I showed you some of my own personal favourites, from finger per fret right through to Satriani type exercises and everything in between. Now, although those exercises are fantastic for getting your fingers moving and getting them warmed up quickly, and that should probably be the first thing that you do if you can to keep your hands warm, it's not particularly easy on the ear because a lot of it's chromatic and a lot of it has dissonance to it. So today we're going to look at different examples of making your melodic sequences in your playing for warm-ups as well. So let's have a look at number 1, which revolves around the G major scale. I love patterns on the guitar. I love little moving shapes, moving phrases, and this is one of my favourite scale warm-ups. Basically what happens is we're using the G major scale, which you'd probably be very familiar with, just a normal major scale shape, but you can apply this pattern to any scale shape you know, and I will briefly show you how you'd apply it in a pentatonic in a second. We've got, what you do is you start from the first note, you miss the second note, you go to the third note, second note, fourth note, so the pattern goes first note, third note, second note, fourth note, third note, fifth note, etc, etc. So you're skipping out a note in the middle and building a fantastically usable little lick builder using the G major scale. Now if you had your A minor pentatonic, the guitarist's world's best friend, you'd start on the 5th fret and you'd skip out the second note and you'd go 5. Then you'd come back to the second note, 2, 4, 3, 5, etc. So you're always skipping out a note there. So that is my favourite little melodic build-up, warm-up exercise using the G major scale. Now, if you're up for a real challenge with that last warm-up exercise that you just learnt there using the G major scale, what I want you to try is what's called don't move a finger until you need it to play a fret. So basically you'll fret the 3rd fret, say of the 6th string, which is the first note. Now you need the index or the first finger to come onto the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Now we need the 4th finger, to come onto the 5th fret there. But you can see that one is still on there. The first finger is still on that 2nd fret, and it's going to stay there until it's needed again within the pattern. Now you can practice this just with your scale shape at first. I recommend just taking just your G major scale and then going through it, and don't move a finger until it's needed. That is a really, really fun way to improve your minimal movement, which will ultimately improve your speed, something that, let's face it, we're all after. Let's go and have a look at a few arpeggios. Okay, example 2 there used a little G major 7 arpeggio, which obviously goes with G major 7 chord. Now, We're building a little warm-up regime here that you can always adapt and progress depending on where you are in your knowledge and your fretboard skills. So for today what I've done is I've created a G major 7 arpeggio here, a G minor 7, which is the next example, and a G dominant 7th arpeggio. What you want to do in your warm-up is always have one arpeggio for each chord family, major, minor and dominant. So today we've got major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, but you might want to have major 9, dominant 9, and minor 9, or 11ths, or any other arpeggios you know, but you want to have one of each. So you're going to start off with your scale pattern in example 1, then the major 7 arpeggio we're looking at here, and then the next 2 arpeggios, but you can mix and match them as you like, as your fretboard develops. So this is just a core syllabus. Try and build your own regime from this as well. Okay, example 3 there is quite simply the G minor 7 arpeggio. Once again, with all of these examples as notated in the notation, try and use alternate picking, down, up, down, up, down, up, because that builds momentum, fluidity, and it's something you really want to warm up. As well as your fretting hand, you want to warm up your picking hand as quickly as possible. Today with melodic sequences. So there we've done our G major 7 previous example and G minor 7. As I said, you can extend or change this arpeggio as you wish. This is the base point for you to build your own regime from. Final pattern in our little arpeggios part of today is a G dominant 7 or G7 arpeggio. All these shapes that I've shown today are just around the E shape or shape 1 of each of these arpeggios. Again, you can then learn these in shape 2, shape 3, shape 4, shape 5. You can build these up in as many different ways as you like to build your own perfect warm-up regime with what you're wanting to play, practice, work on, and the genre of music that you like as well. So you might want to change your arpeggios into a rockier format, or a funk, or a blues, or a jazz. It's up to you, but you want to keep warming these up every time. Let's look at the next example. Okay, something that I've noticed over my years teaching and in my own playing is people don't tend to warm up chords. We have lots of single note things and we sometimes do a few other little techniques and stuff like that, but very rarely do I see people warming up chords. Now, you can do a variety of exercises here, but one that I love to do is the 4-finger chord change, okay? Now, I've given you a 2-chord sequence here today, which is a G major 7, which is 3rd fret of the 6th string, nothing, 4, 4, 3. Refer to the tablature in the article underneath this for these if you want to see the tabs. And then we're going to go to a G major 9, 3, nothing, 4, 2, 3. Now you can see, hopefully you can see there nice and clearly, that I've had to move all 4 fingers to move through these chord shapes. So what I like to do when I'm doing a 4-finger chord change is I focus on where one finger has to be. In this case, I'm focusing where my second or my middle finger has got to come all the way to the 6th string, to the G, and then my other fingers will fall underneath that. Now, this is a very classic kind of jazz, bossa, Latin type pattern, because there aren't too many 4-finger changes in rock, because it requires quite a lot of effort and it can be quite challenging. But it's a really fun one. You can just do, you can get used to the change and you can sit there, and it's one that you can do while you're watching TV or something on in the background, and you can just get your fingers used to a 4-finger change, and that warms them up in a specific chordal environment, something I really like to do in my own playing. Let's look at the next example. Okay, so I've referred to this example as Simon's idea or Simon's warm-up. I created this little mini ditty many years ago, and I still use it to this day because it's useful. Now, what I like to do is I like to have something that's fairly melodic, but also involves all four of my fingers, and in this case, alternate picking. Doesn't have to, you could create examples that use legato, hammer-ons, pull-offs, whatever you're working on. This one again is all around G, as most of the examples are today, and you can see that we're quite high up the neck here, and it does feel a little bit weird playing this with a metronome because we've got 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, but the bars are being cut slightly as to every sort of 6 or 7 notes, or depending on where they're landing for the pattern itself. So I recommend every example, barring this one, you practice with a metronome. I did them at 80 BPM, start at 60, work up. This one, try to get the pattern down without a metronome first and refer to the tab. It's a really fun little exercise that goes through little arpeggios and a little melodic motif. I love those. Let's look at the final example today. Okay, so nearly all today's examples have been warming up the picking hand using alternate picking. So I thought I'd leave the final example here as a very simple legato warm-up. It's not big heroics, it's not sort of shredmongers type thing, it's just warming up all of the different main 3-note per string finger patterns that you're going to come across in your own playing. So the major scale 3-note per string is 3-5-7, 3-5-7, 4-5-7, 4-5-7, 5-7-8, 5-7-8. Okay, and you can see that there in your tablature notation. What I've done here is I'm picking the first note of each of these and then 2 hammer-ons on the way up. Pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer, all the way through. And then on the way back, I've done the exact same thing. Pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer. Now, for those of you that want another challenge, on the way back, you can go pick, pull off, pick, pull off, pick, pull off, etc. I've done it all hammer-ons today, but I want this to be your basis for your warm-up regime. You can change it, you can adapt it, you can take one exercise and add it into the others, you can take one exercise from the dexterity of Satriani and add it into just a 4-finger chord warm-up. If you've only got 2 minutes to warm up, you can pick your favourites. It doesn't have to take hours, but if you do these every day, you will build coordination, melodic phrases, and everything like that. So these little warm-ups, like the scale warm-ups in example 1, are a fantastic way to build longer licks down the line. And my favourite quote from when I was studying at the Guitar Institute was, "I've only got one lick, but it's half an hour long." The only reason you can build long licks by that is fretboard fluency, dexterity, coordination, and melodic sequences. And we're covering these all within this warm-up regime. So I really hope you've got something from these exercises. Take care. Any questions, please drop me a line below this video or underneath the article itself. I do read them and I try and get back to all of you as quickly as possible. Take care. See you soon. Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed this melodic patterns and sequences warm-up lesson. I really hope you got something from it. Please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time for way more videos.